the United States Triumphal Arch, which will be an architectural masterpiece to celebrate our history right here in Washington, D.C. And this monumental arch will beam at 250 feet tall in honor of 250 years.
President Trump now requesting an arch to be built in celebration of America's 250th year. Let's bring in exclusively the chairman of the U.S. Commission on Fine Arts, Rodney Mims Cook Jr., who was involved in approving the initial arch proposal. Thank you so much for being here, Rodney. First question, why does the D.C. skyline need this? Why does Washington, D.C. need a 250-foot tall arch, almost twice the size of the arch in Paris and more than twice the size of the Lincoln Memorial right across the river?
Hi, Peter. Thanks for having me on. Hello from Atlanta. I was glad to see you had our Secretary Loeffler in your screen with the announcement. The number that you just mentioned, it's actually 166 feet tall, and so the press is tending to double it because there's a large statue on top of it. But the building is scaled to the Arc de Triomphe in Paris, not twice the height. The interest of the president to have a memorial there is not a new one. He was given some images that I had created 26 years ago to put something in that very place, as well, an arch in that very place, as well as two other sites that Pierre-Charles L'Enfant intended for the nation's capital. And we've never really had a builder president since Thomas Jefferson. I think it's high time that we have another, and President Trump is ready to go.
And something you just said there are two other sites. So we've got a map we can put up. In addition to this triumphal arch, there are sites basically in southwest and southeast D.C. that could serve as gateway arches. Are all three of these going to be built at once?
I haven't had a chance to talk to the president about the other two. He has had other things on his mind when we've spoken, and I am anxious to sit down with him, which he recommended, to go over everything that we need to do and talk about, and then have him tell me yes or no on these other sites. But L'Enfant intended them there, and that is something that I have suggested to the commission. And I need to show them to the president and the L'Enfant plan, not a map like you just showed, but the actual L'Enfant plan, as to what he had intended. And 26 years ago, my foundation had studies for each of these sites, and the president has them, but we haven't had a chance to sit down and talk about it.
And you built something similar to this in Atlanta that we have a picture that we can put up. How long is it going to take to build this?
It took me 3 years to build what you're showing there, the Millennium Gate. That should have been in Washington at Barney Circle, Pennsylvania Avenue, the John Philip Sousa Bridge. And sadly, because of the plane going into the Pentagon, the World Trade Center, then immediately anthrax on the Hill, Washington was not in a posture to have a peace monument. And the intellectual property for that building was so strong that was fanning not only the United States and her architectural prowess and intellectuals that had been involved in creating it, but also the Prince of Wales, now King Charles III, who I used to work for. And so we didn't want to lose all that intellectual property, Peter, and so we put it in my city, a regional capital versus a national capital for the millennium, so that we weren't only fixated in America on Y2K and whether or not our computers were going to fail. Everyone else was building, and we should have been doing that too, and ultimately we did. And so the building that we enjoy, where I work every day, is a spectacular asset to Georgia. And Secretary Loeffler actually has received our Millennium Candler Justice Prize there, and I recommend, Peter, that you come down and take a look at it.
If you're inviting us, we will be down there.
Come on down,
And
please.
As we know, it's a triumphal arch. Can't spell triumphal without T-R-U-M-P. So we will be following all the construction. Rodney Mims Cook Jr., thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Peter.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.